You're welcome back to the AM show, and of course it's now time for the AM News with me, Noella Karanyali. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Dzeyehonu, has dispatched specialized officers and counter-terrorism units to Gbenyiri following deadly clashes over a land dispute which left 9 dead and 29 others injured. As tensions remain high in the farming community, residents are resorting to makeshift measures, donning red armbands, and marking your homes. Now, we'll take you live to the heart of the conflict where fear and uncertainty grip the community and hear from the IGP. But first, let's listen to some residents who tell us why they're wearing red armbands and marking their structures.
This red band, according to some influence, that if you don't tie the red bands, if somebody comes to you may not know the difference between we and our opponent. So we just tying the red means that we are not aware of the conflict. We are not aware of the conflict. Yes. That is why we want to tie the red. Separate ourselves from them.
Okay. From who?
From our enemies, those who are shooting the builders.
Now, police in the Ashanti region are on high alert for possible reprisal attacks in recent clashes between youth groups at Kokode-Nwamase at the Kwadaso municipal of the Ashanti region. Now, it comes after intelligence that some of the youth at Nwamase are mobilizing themselves for a reprisal. An attack on the Nwamase community on Sunday resulted in the injury of one individual. Nanaya Aljima has visited the community and filed this report.
The renewed clashes started at Agrek Enzema in the Kwadaso municipality. A long-standing dispute between the youth of Nwamase and Kokode communities reignited at the funeral. Lucy Osei Mensa is an eyewitness.
The guys from Kokode threatened to stab one of the guys. I proceeded to tell the guy who was the target, but they followed me there. Emma was also at the funeral and stepped in. In the process, he was cut in the head and rushed to the hospital.
On Sunday, a day after the first clash, armed men from Kokode besieged the injured person's home at Nwamase, forcing themselves into his room. The eyewitness, who doubles as the victim's girlfriend, says their room was pelted with stones and concrete blocks.
Two hours after we went into the room, they started pelting the roof with stones, calling Ima. I wanted to open, but Ima didn't allow it. When they succeeded in breaking into the room, they wanted to take him with them, but I prevented them. They started cutting him with the machetes. They told me they are going to kill him. He was cut multiple times, and I was wounded in the process.
Next time, if I be my message, I'm smoking boy, and I'm saying, to what to kind of trying to concern and beg now. You know, some of this kind of charming.
The victim, Ima, is presently battling for his life at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, with medical staff recommending an immediate surgery. I am in front of the single-bedroom apartment where Ima lived with his girlfriend. Today, the place is empty. It's no longer habitable by the residents of this building. Now the wife and kids are no longer here because almost everything within the room is destroyed. The roof itself has been taken off, the ceiling in there completely destroyed, and the place is full of stones and blocks that were used to break in by these young men. Also, the belongings or the properties of Ima are now stained with blood. The walls and almost everything in the room has been destroyed. Other buildings around Ime's one-bedroom apartment were destroyed by the aggrieved youth. JoyNews investigations have revealed the victim spent 7 years on remand for allegedly shooting one of the youth of Kokode in the eye in an earlier disturbance.
And 10 years in the boy na remand 7 years. Opia Kronya one ya brand so one tias and another job when it's going free and to obey any bias.
The recent attack has left residents of the communities living in fear. Assemblyman for Nwamase, Kofi Ejapon, says the police have received the information and are on alert for such attempts.
The police promised to keep patrolling the area. They made me speak to the regional commander who has promised to visit the community.
Meanwhile, the Municipal Security Council is scheduled to meet on the matter. For JoyNews, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, away from that, the Central Regional Branch of the National Disaster Management, I'm talking about NADMO, has stepped up its fight against illegal stand winning along the Gbenyiri beach and surrounding areas within the Gbenyiri East District. Now, during a decisive operation supported by the media, Regional Director Emmanuel Mensah Dawood described the activity as a ticking time bomb, warning that without urgent and firm intervention, the destructive practice could result in irreversible man-made tragedies. Abigail Isel Nkrumah has more on the following report.
The Gbenyiri beach has become a hotspot for illegal sand-winning activities, prompting the Central Regional NADMO to take swift action against the menace. During the operation in the Gbenyiri East District, the Central Regional Director of NADMO, Emmanuel Mensah Dawood, called on traditional authorities in the area to collaborate with the regional NADMO to stop the illegality to prevent potential disasters.
This devastation is a ticking time bomb that will not sit down for the natural and a man-made disaster of this magnitude to erupt before we take action. That is why, after extensive hazard identification strategy deployed by the Regional NADMO Directorate, we are here again with the press to highlight the extent of devastation occasioned by some unpatriotic citizens and entrepreneurs who, for their short-term economic interests, have decided to resort to illegal sand-winning activities at Gbenyiri Beach and its surrounding areas to the detriment of the environment, posing serious risk associated with tidal waves, sea erosion, and its associated concomitant.
The District Chief Executive of Gbenyiri East District, Margaret Nana Akom, issued a stern warning to perpetrators with a promise of severe punishment for culprits.
Illegal sand winning in Gbenyiri East. This is a signal and a strong warning to each and everyone. Anyone who will be caught, physical or even spiritual, we are not going to spare you. As we are speaking, we are going to speak with the DISEC, being the chairperson for the DISEC, and then the NADMO, and then the Regional Security Council. We are going to patrol the seaside 24/7. Anyone who will be caught, that person will find him or herself in danger. We are going to work with you 24/7, and if you are being caught, seriously, we will not spare you. We are going to make sure that we use the law against whoever will be caught.
Kofi Panford is the Executive Director of WDB Investments Limited. He laments how sand winning is affecting his business operations.
We own about 1,064 acres of land. We started from the shoreline all the way to the Pentecost Convention Center. Just as you people are witness here, the sand winning is really affecting our business. As I speak with you, we brought about 3 investors, billionaires, to this side to help us develop the place. But because of the sand winning, when they come, they go back. We are begging them that after selling this land to us, they shouldn't destroy the business for which we came here, but we put in money. The company has really put in money here. And so this sand winning is really destroying the business that we are in. So that is our appeal to them.
From Gbenyiri, Abigail Isel Nkrumah reports for JoyNews.
And the National Lottery Authority, NLA, has shaken up Ghana's lotto industry with a new licensing initiative aimed and weeding out unregistered operators. At a briefing in Accra, the authority said the initiative will tighten oversight of agents, citing inconsistencies in revenue data and a need to restore order in the sector. My colleague Jacqueline Ansomayabua has more.
Ghana's lotto industry has operated in a grey zone where licensed and unlicensed agents compete side by side. While the National Lottery Authority remains the sole body mandated to regulate the space, the rise of private operators and street-level writers has created loopholes, revenue leakages, and accountability concerns. It is against this backdrop that the NLA has announced a new licensing initiative aimed at sanitizing the sector and tightening oversight of all lotto agents. According to the Director General, Mohammed Abdul Salam, all lotto agents will now be required to secure proper licenses before serving customers.
It is difficult to just go out there chasing after people in the name of ensuring that you are going after those who have flouted the rules and are engaged in the sale of what you call a banker-to-banker lottery, which is not registered with the NLA. Because we have certificated and licensed people to sell lotto that is operated by the NLA, it is sometimes different to distinguish between those who are actually selling for the regulated collaborators and those who are engaged in illegal sale of lottery.
The NLA boss also revealed troubling disparities. While private lotto agents declared the number of writers they employ, the figures didn't match the revenue returns they submitted.
One of the requirements was for the private operators to provide data of the number of writers they have. If you use those projections against what they send as returns in terms of what they operate, there's a huge disparity. Meaning an operator could have reported to NLA that have up to about 5,000 writers. But in actual fact, in their operations, they report 1,500, 1,200. So we want to be able to rely on accurate data.
To back its directive with action, the NLA held a live demonstration showing lotto agents exactly how to register on the platform. The authority says this licensing drive is crucial to restoring public confidence and protecting both players and state revenue, insisting that only those who comply will be allowed to operate in the lotto space. For JoyNews, I'm Jacqueline Ansomayabua.
Now, government is pledging support for youth-led and data science innovations that strengthen Ghana's data collection system. Now, Vice President Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman made the pledge at the Pre-Global Data Festival Ghana High-Level meeting, and the gathering designated or designed, I should say, to elevate political engagement around data in Africa while highlighting Ghana's leadership in the evolving continental data space. Shared concerns where it was raised about over reliance on artificial intelligence and foreign generated data. The Vice President emphasized the need for Ghana to generate its own data to protect national interest.
Ghana will continue to showcase her best practices and innovations, from tax data modernization of the Ghana Revenue Authority through the use of mobile data for sustainable statistics and disaster reduction planning, to innovation in data science, machine learning, and others. We will continue to elevate the voices of our youth and data scientists, many of whom are already building impactful solutions in agriculture, climate, public health, and land restoration. We are very proud of that. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, let us approach today's deliberations with clarity and resolve. Time is running out on the targets we agreed and set for the SDGs. But our innovation, unity, and commitment can push us forward. Let us reaffirm our commitment to investing in the data proficiency of our institutions and embedding evidence in policy making. We must arrive at a destination where data are not something done exclusively for us or about us, but also generated by our people, governed by us, and used in our service. When we meet again next year at the festival, it should be to celebrate our progress and to show that the Global South has taken its rightful place in the global data movement.
And that's it for the first part of the news. But of course, Business Update comes up next with Samuel Kujobrace.
Well, the Bank of Ghana has charged all institutions in the remittance space to desist from engaging in unfair market prices. The warning was contained in the upgraded guidelines for payment service providers in the remittance business in the country. We have more in the following report.
The Bank of Ghana in the updated guidelines says some of these practices that it sees as unfair are when a market player tries to offer payment rebate, commissions, or preferential arrangement that confer undue advantage, which could go a long way to distort market conditions. The regulator says it will not hesitate to sanction any institution engaging in such practices. This is because such conduct are inconsistent with the fair trade rules that guides the practices of players in the sector. On remittance inflow, the Bank of Ghana reminded these firms that all foreign currencies received should also find their way back to the country to the account of their partner commercial banks. The updated guidelines also pushes for some transparency in terms of disclosing to the Bank of Ghana all their partner institutions outside the country. Now, these firms should also be licensed by their respective regulators and must abide by all the anti-money laundering regulations. The payment service providers and money transfer operators are also required to have a settlement account here in Ghana with a universal bank where all their inflows will come in to aid their settlement. On foreign currency rate for settlement, the Bank of Ghana directed these institutions to explore the average operating rate by trading platform Bloomberg or anyone that will be prescribed by the central bank.
Away from that, government is on course to save about $300 million from the debt restructuring agreement with the independent power producers. This milestone will significantly reduce the debt owed IPPs by 20% to reach $1.2 billion from an initial $1.5 billion. This was disclosed by Ben Boachi, a key member of the board tasked to mediate the negotiations with the IPPs. He made the announcement at the Future of Energy conference organized by the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP.
It's still work in progress, and we appreciate the commitment of government to engage multiple stakeholders to find solutions to the problems of the energy sector. And we've been privileged to be one of the organizations that are at the forefront of supporting the ministry to relook at the cleanup of the power sector in general. And one of the jobs has been to look at the IPPs, engage them in good faith negotiations on their outstanding debt. I mean, the commitment of government is to be able to treat the debt that we have it, then be able to structure a payment mechanism to deal with the outstanding debt. What we have done so far is to agree with a lot of the IPPs on a structure of payment, averagely 4 years to 5 years payment plan to be able to amortize the debt and also in return get some concession from them. And I must say that the IPPs have been very magnanimous. Even though we have a binding contract and agreements with them, they've been magnanimous to give us some haircut, which I'm sure the minister would announce at some point. But we are just happy to help, as we always do.
How much could the country save with this arrangement?
We're looking close to about $300 million on the debt, and also over $1 billion in future payments. But at this point, we are close to $200 million, I suppose, and I'm sure by the end of the day we will be able to give the gross figure as to what has been achieved so far.
And that's how we conclude the AM News for today. There's coming up next year on the show is AM Sports.